Russian inflation decelerates slightly in September for the first time in 3 months, coming in at 15.7% from a year earlier. So what does this mean for the economy? Looking at this and more, I'm joined by Dmitry Dolgin, Senior Analyst at Alfa Bank. In data today, Dmitry, we saw Russia's service sector expand with confidence in the business outlook continuing to improve. Though trading conditions remain challenging, what are the main drivers for this growth? And it is a trend that's likely to continue.
In terms of the services figures, they tell to me that local services providers are apparently benefiting from the import substitution effect. The thing is that because of the 40% ruble depreciation that we had last year, Russians will spend around $20 billion less on foreign travel, according to our estimates, this year compared to the previous year, and this amount of money is bound to be probably spent locally, and obviously local services providers such as hospitality, local tourism, general entertainment and dining are bound to benefit from this effect, and apparently that's what we are seeing, and the effect is likely to take place this year, and until we see some sign of material improvement in the income in dollar terms that would allow Russians to resume foreign travel as they were used to before 2014.
Now, despite the positive growth seen in the service sector, the World Bank has downgraded Russia's economic outlook last week, saying the economy may shrink by as much as 4.3% this year, and that Russia needs to proceed with structural overhauls. What are Russian policymakers doing to confront the challenges the economy is facing?
Here, regardless of the actual drop that we'll see this year, for example, our expectations are not as negative as World Bank's. We see 3.5% drop in GDP this year. We agree with the World Bank that the reasons for the decline of the GDP trend are not just cyclical, but also structural. The problem is for the policymakers, obviously, that the tools to address cyclical and structural factors are different, and sometimes they're completely opposite. For example, when we're talking about the cyclical slowdown, a portion of the slowdown needs to be addressed with a more generous budget policy, for example, or some easing in terms of monetary policy. But at the same time, the structural constraints suggest that, on the other hand, the policymakers should address this with tighter monetary policy and probably even tighter budget policy in order to bring down inflation. So it appears that the policymakers are in a jam, and so far we haven't seen any sign that the government is able to get out of this. So as a result, we don't see any material policy decisions to come anytime soon, and that's why the general outlook, midterm and even long-term GDP growth remains rather bleak.
Consumer prices were up 15.7% in September compared with a year earlier, after increasing 15.8% in August. The central bank is aiming to bring inflation down to 4% in the next 2 years. So are we seeing a hint of that in today's reading? What are you taking away from the figure?
The figure itself, 15.7, represents a slight improvement compared to 15.8 that we saw in the previous month. And it basically suggests that the inflationary effect of the latest ruble depreciation round that we had in July and August is gradually transmitting into local prices and is almost over. This basically means that the annual inflation rate is definitely set to decelerate, and by the year end we are likely to see 12% year-on-year growth, and by mid-2016 there is a chance that inflation will be below 10% or even around 7 to 8%. But that's still that will still be twice higher than the level targeted by the CBR. So the internal balance of inflationary risks suggests that in order to proceed with the inflation targeting agenda, central bank has to remain cautious regarding lowering the key rate. And that's why we believe that central bank should keep the key rate at the current 11% level at least until this year end, and probably even further than that.
That was Dmitry Dolgin with me there. For more insight and analysis like this, make sure you're tuning in to Dukascopy TV. Bye for now.